Hey everybody, welcome to the next episode of Worlds Collide. My name is Mitch.
And I'm Justin. Welcome for season 2. Today, who are we coming?
We are talking about the unstoppable Juggernaut.
Oh, once he starts going, don't get in his way.
No, no.
So he's part of which line of comics?
He is Marvel Comics, mainly an X-Men villain, but he's also been a Spider-Man villain and a Doctor Strange villain.
Yes, we touch on a lot more of the mystic side of comics here with this episode.
Yes. So today we're going to be going over the publication history of Juggernaut, and we're going to go over a little bit of his appearances outside of the comics world, and then we're going to top it off with some notable stories of his.
Wicked. So, obviously we'll start from the beginning.
Yep.
You said he's an X-Men villain?
That's right.
Okay. When do we first see him?
So his first appearance is in X-Men number 12 in 1965. So the X-Men first got started in 1963.
Yeah.
He didn't make his first appearance until 1965.
Okay, so they held him back a little bit, and that's okay, because once he finally showed himself, it was a big change.
Yeah. So when you first see him, you don't actually see him.
No.
Because the first time you're introduced to the Juggernaut, you see the X-Mansion completely destroyed.
Oh, is that the very first time you see him, even before they kick back to the origin?
Yeah.
Oh, when do we get his origin?
After you see the destroyed mansion. After you see the destroyed mansion, Xavier starts telling his X-Men students about his stepbrother.
Okay, so Xavier's stepbrother, obviously, that's a big key point that we'll come back to in a second.
Yeah.
But as he's doing this narration, it's more of like him retelling the past.
That's right.
So Juggernaut's origin is just a retelling from Xavier's point of view.
That's right.
Have we ever gotten another origin story from Juggernaut's point of view?
Not a different, but you do get more elaboration as to what happened to him when he was younger, and more explanation to his hatred towards Xavier.
Things that kind of transpired to lead him down the path.
That's right.
Becoming the Juggernaut.
That's right.
Okay. Now, I know vaguely how he became the Juggernaut.
Okay. So let's start off with his name is Cain Marko.
Yep.
And he is a stepbrother of Charles Xavier, Professor Xavier, the leader of the X-Men, or founder of the X-Men.
Not by blood, obviously,
no,
right?
No.
Who's the real father?
So his father married Xavier's mother. So his father and Xavier's father were friends, and then when Xavier's father died, apparently Cain Marko's father had, Xavier's dad died because of Cain Marko's dad. Well, he was not directly responsible, but he died because of him, kind of thing.
Okay, so
don't
kind of
really
cause.
know. I don't really know a story as to how he died, but I know he died, and Cain Marko's dad was involved somehow.
All right.
And then after Charles Xavier's dad ended up dying, Cain Marko's dad ends up marrying Xavier's mom.
Perfect opportunity.
Yeah.
You're widowed. Look.
Yeah. So Marco's dad was very abusive towards Marco. Marco was always dim-witted. He was never a very intelligent person, and he was always getting himself into fights and into trouble in school. He wasn't. He was a bad seed. Then when he ends up marrying Xavier's mom, you have Charles Xavier, this exemplary student, this highly intelligent person, and Marco's dad even found out that Xavier had his mutant powers, his telepathy.
And he told them to hide them.
That's right.
Basically, keep them secret so they keep you safe.
That's right, on his deathbed.
Yes.
On his deathbed. So on Marco's dad's deathbed, he tells Xavier to keep his powers secret because nobody is ready to understand. Cain was already aware of these powers as well, because Xavier did end up using his telepathic powers on Cain, not on purpose, but Cain always felt like it was on purpose. So that's where that resentment towards Xavier came from. It's his father always abused him, always favored Charles, and Charles had this gift that imposed his will on others, and Cain always felt like Charles did this on purpose. So there's that resentment. There's a lot of resentment between Kane and Charles. Charles never had any resentment towards Kane. Charles always had nothing but the best intentions for Kane.
Yeah.
But Kane had this deep-seated resentment towards Charles, this hatred towards Charles.
Almost like he got the shitty end of the deal.
That's right.
Right? Like, we're two sides of the same coin, but he's the better one.
That's right. That's right.
That's how he felt, anyways, that his father treated him, even when it came down to, I think they were in high school, and Kane Marco started doing some sports, some track, and then Xavier was the track athlete.
Yeah.
Right? He blew him away there, and even, the one thing that he's good at, he still stole his thunder.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, man, fuck you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just a sibling rivalry through and through.
Yeah.
And then it led us to their enlistment.
That's right. So they both enlist in the army. They both go to war. It was the Korean War. Mm-hmm. And while they're stationed in Korea, this is where, and they're both in the same regiment as well. I don't know exactly how Kane got separated from the rest of the unit, but Kane ended up finding this cave, and in this cave hid the gem of Sidorak.
And what is the gem of Sidorak?
The gem of Sidorak is a gem created by the demon Sidorak. So, about 1,000 years ago, there was these 7 gods that roamed Earth, and they were always in competition to prove who is the more powerful of the 7. And Sidorak was one of those demons, those god demons. I'm not 100% familiar on the fallout on this, but I know at one point Sidorak ends up getting banished from Earth.
There's 8 in total. Ferala, Sidorak, Balthok, Ikonen, Regador, Watom, Valtor, and Kraken.
And they all left behind a gem of their own power.
Yeah. And basically this gem, once touched, essentially makes
an avatar.
An avatar for them to then control do battle.
That's right.
To prove who is the most dominant of these 8 gods.
That's right.
Who is the best among them. So rather than them fight each other and eventually, wipe each other out, they want to see who's the best.
Yeah.
Through the avatars on Earth.
Yeah.
Nice. And once the first gem is touched or found, because they're all basically zapped off to different locations, kind of like the Dragon Balls.
That's right.
And so as soon as someone finds the first Dragon Ball or stone, basically the rest are activated.
That's right. Kind of like a beacon.
Like a beacon. They're sent in search of the other stones, and once found, once touched, they become the avatars. And then they're drawn to each other, much like the Godzilla movies.
That's right.
Right? Where all the different monsters, they're being drawn to fight each other.
That's right.
Same concept.
Yeah. So when Kane found the gem of Sidorak, in there was an engraving, and in that engraving it said,
"Whosoever picks up the gem of Sidorak shall gain its powers." And
yeah, so whoever touches this gem shall be granted the power of Crimson Gem of Sidorak. Henceforth, you who read these words shall become forevermore a human Juggernaut.
Mm-hmm. And that he was. So it increases his size, his strength, his speed, gives him the armor,
durability, near invulnerability.
Doesn't need oxygen to breathe. Doesn't need food for sustenance.
That's right. He even has a force field he could use for added protection, super regeneration.
Later storylines, I know he gets kind of magic powers of sorts.
Well, yeah. So we'll go over that. He technically always had, but once again, Kane Marco is very dim-witted, so he wouldn't know how to use the Gem of Sidorak at that level. So for him, raw power meant raw strength, raw invulnerability. So that's who the Juggernaut became. Was just this raw power, raw brute force being.
And we see that the gem's capable of much more complicated, complex things.
That's right.
When someone else is actually granted the power.
That's right.
They don't have it for long, and I believe they do. They wield it for the sake of good.
Yes.
But we'll touch base on that.
Yeah. So, with these powers, and doing this research, I found out, I always knew Juggernaut was strong, but I was always on the assumption that
Hulk is stronger?
Hulk is the strongest there is. And turns out that is not the case. Juggernaut is actually stronger than the Hulk. When asked, like I've seen a few people asked about who would win between Juggernaut and the Hulk, or the Unstoppable Colossus versus World Breaker Hulk, the consensus is Juggernaut wins.
Oh, and then Unstoppable Colossus really wins.
Yes.
Like, unless you can alternate reality or alternate metal against, like, Colossus at Juggernaut form, you can't do a thing.
No.
You can't do a thing.
No. So his regeneration powers is to the point where at one point he was fighting, I forgot, Shatterstar, and Shatterstar ends up stabbing in the eye with the sword, and then almost instantly his eye rebirthed.
Like, yeah, his regeneration level is near probably Wolverine's, if not better. Because at one point, I think he was taken down to a skeleton.
Yeah, and then regenerated. Yeah, so his regeneration is through the roof.
Through the fucking roof.
We're talking Hulk Deadpool level regeneration.
Yeah.
And as we said, in Vulnerability, he once took a full-powered God Blast from Thor, and it didn't even flinch him. It didn't make him flinch. He just laughed at it, pretty much. Then he tried to pick up Mjolnir, and then Thor threw Juggernaut, because he can't actually hold Mjolnir. Mjolnir just tossed him around. But he took a full on assault by Thor, and it didn't even phase him. It didn't even do anything to him.
Well, there's another time where Thor took Mjolnir and threw it as hard as he could at Juggernaut.
Yeah.
And Juggernaut sat there laughing as it came towards him, being like, my powers are already working to slow down the speed of Mjolnir. Like, my shield is slowing its attack. By the time it got to him, it stopped just a millimeter short of him.
Yeah.
And just basically...
just fell.
Well, it didn't do anything.
Yeah.
So rather than falling, Thor pulled it back. And when he pulled it back, he hung on for the ride.
Yeah.
And so what Juggernaut did is he came in for the Superman punch.
Yeah.
Riding on Mjolnir.
Yeah.
Sending Thor through like 5 freight train cars.
Yeah. When Juggernaut faced the Hulk, Juggernaut actually beat the Hulk.
How did he do that?
I think he just choked him out.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah.
Say uncle.
Yeah. Now, he did get a surprise attack on the Hulk, but to be fair, there's been a lot of villains that have gotten a surprise attack on the Hulk, and the Hulk has come out on top. Juggernaut straight up beat him.
He's fought him many times, though.
Yes.
In another battle, I remember he's fighting him, and it shows that, I believe they're maybe outside the X-Men mansion or something. And he's like, I don't got all day, and they're battling back and forth, and Juggernaut's charging the Hulk, and the Hulk just sidesteps him, sends him through a wall.
That's actually during World War Hulk.
Yeah, basically throws him through a wall, and on the other side of this wall is a giant lake.
Yeah.
Well, he goes and just plummets to the bottom of the lake. And that's one of his weaknesses, essentially. If he's stuck in a position like quicksand, vast body of water, space, something that he doesn't have momentum in, something that he can't actually, get running and just keep running, he's fucked.
And that's just it. So from all the research that I've read, Juggernaut has never really been beaten.
Just timed out.
Yeah. When he faced Spider-Man, buried him in tons of cement to the point where he sunk to the bottom of the New York Lake, and took him a month to get out. When he was facing Doctor Strange, he ended up having to invoke Eternity, and Eternity banished Juggernaut to a different dimension. When he faced the Hulk, he ended up having to destroy the ledger he was on, and he fell into the ocean. So Juggernaut's never been beaten, just delayed or gotten rid of. When he was facing Iceman encased him in ice, and then made an ice ramp that made him go into the ocean.
So literally every time it's put him in the water.
Yeah.
Put him in the water.
Yeah.
Well, when I'm not sure which comic line this was, but Bruce Banner's son,
Scar.
Scar.
Yes.
he fought Juggernaut at one point.
Yes.
And the way that Bruce lured him out was he went and like blew up Juggernaut's house.
Yeah.
He literally like sent a missile at Juggernaut's house to piss him off to battle his kid, being like, I need him to fight someone. Like, sorry.
Exactly. And who better than the Juggernaut?
And and I guess at one point Scar used his tactics to get him with a big punch up into orbit.
That's right.
And that was how he won that one. Just put him into space.
That's right.
And then the end scene is the clip of the comic being like, "Oh, for the love of," as Juggernaut's just floating through space.
Yeah. So once again, though, not entirely beaten.
He doesn't need oxygen. He doesn't need food. He will float around orbit forever until either something knocks him back into our orbit, or something picks him up, or he just doggy paddles through space.
Yeah. So he has been beaten once before, and that was by Onslaught.
Correct. Because he just came flying out of the middle of nowhere and basically landed near like the X-Mansion or something.
Almost dead.
Yeah, basically. He wasn't even able to speak. I think the only thing he could say was Onslaught.
Yeah.
Onslaught's coming or something like.
Yeah, he's coming. Onslaught or something like that.
Yeah, because they're like, what the hell happened to you? Like, like every time they've seen this guy, he's usually ready to eat them.
That's right.
And at this, he's groveling on the floor like, "Mommy, help me." Like.
That's right.
And it's like, who and what did this?
Yeah.
If they can do that to you,
yeah.
Right? And that's what he said, Onslaught.
Yeah.
Onslaught's coming.
So, and once again, when I say nobody's ever beaten Juggernaut, I mean physically. Obviously, Juggernaut's been beaten every time. So, Juggernaut has this helmet that protects him from telepathic attacks. So, usually, the way to defeat Juggernaut is by removing the helmet, and then Xavier or Jean Grey will use their telepathic powers, Emma Frost, and stop him that way. Except we'll get into this a little bit later on, but now he doesn't even have that vulnerability.
He doesn't even have the helmet?
No, I mean he has the helmet, but remove the helmet, he's not vulnerable to psychic attacks even with them. Yeah, it's no longer a weakness of his.
And that's something newer.
That's right. That's right.
Makes him really strong.
Yes, it does.
Makes him really strong.
Yes, it does.
Oh my gosh. Because, like, he's strong to the point where the powers that he's been given, once he starts running, like, the strength of his legs are essentially propelling him so fast, so hard that nothing can stop.
That's right.
Once something gets him going.
That's right. The only time he's ever been stopped was in Age of Apocalypse. Juggernaut was charging at the Hulk, who was enhanced by Apocalypse, because in Age of Apocalypse, the Hulk was the Horseman of War. So the Hulk, as a Horseman of War, so he's been enhanced by celestial technology by Apocalypse to enhance his strength by tenfold. At that level, Hulk was barely strong enough to stop the Juggernaut in his tracks. Barely.
Wow.
Yeah, Juggernaut ran into the Hulk. The Hulk, you can see the Hulk slide backwards, but then did stop the Juggernaut.
And it's one of those run, and he just throws his fist, and the Hulk catches his fist, and...
That's right.
That's a feat.
That's right.
That's a feat indeed.
That's right.
Because he's strong as shit, because it's magical strength.
That's right.
And it's fueled from a demon in another dimension. There's no... It's like an unlimited source.
So one would argue Juggernaut might even be able to defeat Superman. Because he has no vulnerability.
It's magic.
It is magic. He is some other aspects of his powers that he never gets tired. So Superman can't outlast him.
I don't know what would happen with heat vision versus him. Probably nothing.
Nothing. I don't know what Superman would do to Juggernaut to hurt him other than grab Juggernaut and fly him into space. That's how Superman would defeat Juggernaut.
Yes, but even there, Phantom Zone.
Yeah, the Phantom Zone as well. Once again, he can't beat him in a fist fight.
No,
but he can subdue him.
Because he's not even even the Flash. Even the Flash versus Juggernaut. Is he fast enough to phase his heart? No, he'll regen.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say that. Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Like, because I'm thinking, well, what if Superman just, like, you know, flew through his chest?
Yeah.
Like, flew at the speed of light through his chest. It doesn't matter.
Just
it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Holy crap, he's like the strongest being ever.
Yeah.
Only made stronger by Colossus.
That's right. That's why. So, I'll just jump into some of his notable stories.
Yeah.
One of those notable stories is called the Tryon Saga. I tried to look into what is the Tryon Saga, and I couldn't find... I don't know what the story is about. But the reason why it's a notable story is because apparently in this is Juggernaut at his strongest, the most powerful. In the Tryon Saga, Juggernaut became like 100 foot tall and got so powerful that he was able to punch pockets of reality.
Black hole.
Yeah.
Black hole.
Pretty much. This is like Juggernaut at his most powerful was the Tryon Saga.
He's still on Earth?
What's that?
He's on Earth?
I like I said, I don't know the story. I don't know what happens. I don't know how
just
they
like
defeat him. I don't know how he gets defeated when he's at that level.
So that's his most powerful.
Yes.
When he was, you know, taken on as the deity of another lord.
Yes.
What level of power would he be then?
So in Fear Itself is a story where the serpent, which is like the brother of Odin, who should have been like he believes he should have been the ruler of Asgard, not Odin, kind of thing. Yeah. Anyways, he ends up coming back, and when he came back, he spawned a bunch of hammers. I think 7 or 8 hammers, and each one of these hammers granted a portion of his power to each one that held his power. Juggernaut got a hold of one of these hammers and turned him into Kurth the Stonebreaker. Yeah,
Kurth the Stonebreaker. And Juggernaut, basically, he always wears this, like, reddish-brown suit of, like, it's like padding / armor.
Yeah.
He's got, like, knuckle pads and, you know, bracers, sleeveless arms, and this big chest piece. Well, he has that, but then it basically becomes all rune inscribed.
Yeah.
And bright light lines, and it looks like just the armor's changed.
Yeah.
When he becomes the Kurth.
Yeah. Kind of reminds me of what was the name of that mech armor thing that the Destroyer.
From Thor.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit. Yeah, the Destroyer.
Yeah.
The metal being that he has to fight in the first one. A little bit like that.
Yeah, the Golem.
Yeah, but brown with like rune scribing.
That's right. Mm-hmm. So I don't know exactly what level of power he was at this state, but let's just say he was unstoppable, like even more unstoppable than he was before. So what happened was Colossus, his sister Ileana, and
forget who the third one was.
Nightcrawler?
Don't think so, but someone else.
The third member doesn't matter. Yeah. Colossus and Magique, his sister Ileana, who has the ability to create portals to other dimensions, ends up going to the dimension of Sidorak and told Sidorak that Juggernaut, that King Marco, is now the avatar of the serpent. And Sidorak didn't like that. He didn't like sharing his host. So he took the power of Sidorak from King Marco, leaving him still the avatar of the serpent, but no longer the Juggernaut, and gave the power of the Juggernaut to Colossus. Well, originally he was going to give it to Ileana.
Supposed to go to Ileana.
But Colossus stepped up and he took on the power.
Yes, to save his sister.
That's right.
Take it for himself.
That's right.
And then we later find out, after a bunch of stuff's happened, and, you know, he's out of control at this point with the power. Because at first he's able to control it, and then, you know, Colossus loses his grip on it.
That's right.
Sidorak is... power comes with the desire to do uncontrollable... destructive things.
Yeah.
So naturally... the truth comes out, and his sister originally intended for him to take it all along.
That's right.
Thinking she would be able to
teach him a lesson,
and they would grow a better bond of understanding. Colossus never understood the torments she had been living with.
That's right.
Because her magic of opening portals to other planes had also came with her desire to sometimes do bad as well, I believe.
Well, what happened was that with her power, she ended up opening a portal to this dark dimension. And something happened, and now she's the ruler of this dimension. She's become like Mephisto. Like Mephisto has ultimate power within his dimension. she has her own dimension where she is nigh omnipotent in her own dimension. Mm-hmm. But this has scarred her. This has scarred her soul. Like, she's not that innocent little Ileana that Colossus remembers, that Peter remembers. He still sees her as this his innocent little sister, but she's not that person anymore.
And it's been rough on her because she's like, how do I explain this to you?
Yeah, how do I make you understand?
Well, she made Colossus
a monster,
not so innocent.
That's right.
And then once he was done, and they had salvaged him, his soul, and kind of put things back to order, his eyes were definitely open. He's like, I understand.
Yeah.
Like, the burden you live with every day, like, you're not my innocent sister that I knew before.
Yeah.
So that was kind of cool how they wound that little storyline in, but at the same time, they wrote themselves into a corner.
Yeah, when Colossus became Juggernaut, like, Colossus on his own is already powerful. Like, he's super strong. He's nigh invulnerable as well.
Radiation, nuclear material, stuff like that.
Magic doesn't hurt him.
Yeah, none of that will affect Colossus. The only thing that will affect Colossus is basically reality and metal. Like, the changing of metal. He might need to eat and breathe air.
Yeah.
Right? But when he becomes Juggernaut, he doesn't need to do any of that anymore.
Right.
He keeps all his other invulnerabilities as well.
That's right. He became so powerful. He became, like, another Marvel version of Superman, except he can't fly. But, like, there's nothing anybody can do to him. Magic doesn't hurt him. Psychic abilities doesn't hurt him. Any form of physical attack doesn't hurt him. Any kind of weaponry, technology doesn't hurt him. Nothing hurts him.
You couldn't even pierce his skin because he's metal. Whereas at least you could pierce Juggernaut's skin. You know, like, you could harm him. You could, dismember him.
Yeah.
You can't do any of that to Colossus.
No.
So it's like, and he has the regeneration factor too. So even if you did,
he just regenerated. And then he ends up becoming one of the Phoenix Five as well.
While having the Juggernaut powers?
Yes. Yes. So we've talked about this in previous episodes, the event of the Avengers versus the X-Men, where the Phoenix comes back and imparts his powers to 5 members, to Cyclops, to Magique, to Emma Frost, to Namor the Submariner, and to the Unstoppable Colossus. So you got Colossus with the Juggernaut's power and the Phoenix power all combined together.
That's unreal.
Yeah.
That's, like, his power is definitely over 9,000.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And you know who stopped him? Fucking Spider-Man.
Wow.
So, while they were in the realm of Mephisto, they went to the realm of Mephisto to save, or was it? Anyways, some demon dimension. They were there to save people's because the Phoenix Five were capturing people who were trying to resist against them and sending them to. Oh, it was Magique's dimension because it was Magique who was doing it. Magique was capturing people who were trying to defy the Phoenix Five. She would be taking these heroes and villains and also innocent bystanders and just trapping them in her dimension. Well, the forces that were trying to oppose the Phoenix Five went to this dimension to save their friends and allies from her dimension. And as they were escaping, Spider-Man stays behind to distract Ileana and Colossus as everybody else escaped back to they were hiding in Kunlun. So
Iron Fist, like, city.
That's right.
Okay.
So that's where they were staying to be hidden from Phoenix because Kunlun is not on the Earth plane.
It's essentially the nether realm in between.
That's right.
Yeah.
So the Phoenix couldn't find them there. So that was their safe haven from the Phoenix Five.
That's awesome.
So to allow everybody else to escape, Spider-Man stayed behind to distract Ileana and Colossus. And he took a beating, like near death. But he managed to trick them into facing against each other, fighting against each other. And when they fought against each other, they pretty much expended their Phoenix Force powers, and they lost their Phoenix Force powers. They defeated each other.
Well, because she's damn near omnipotent there, and he's damn near unstoppable anywhere.
Yeah.
So they're just gonna be one wall hitting another wall.
That's right.
Over and over until there's a bunch of rubble.
That's right.
And he's like, I win.
That's right. That's pretty much exactly right.
I got you.
Yeah, exactly. So
dying.
Little old Spider-Man ends up defeating 2 members of the Phoenix Five using intelligence.
Well, it's not the first time he's had to outsmart a foe.
That's right.
Because,
reason why I'm a big fan of Spider-Man.
He's brilliant, yeah.
Because when Spider-Man can't defeat them with strength, he defeats them with his intelligence.
Tactics and then cunning.
Yeah. And his mouth.
His mouth is pretty good. Like, he rivals Deadpool with the wisecracks.
I would say his quips are better than Deadpool, but Deadpool is more annoying with his mouth. Like he earns the name the Merc with the Mouth.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does. Shit talking everyone in sight.
Yeah.
So, what was your favorite story of Juggernaut?
Actually, my favorite story of Juggernaut is actually from the animated series from the 90s.
I'm the Juggernaut, bitch!
No?
Not the voiceover curse?
No. No, it was in the 90s. We're upstairs watching this voiceover version of the Juggernaut during the Phoenix saga in the 90s series. But in there, you see the Gladiator show up, and Gladiator is one of the members of the Shi'ar elite force.
Yeah.
And Guardian is the most powerful of them all, and Guardian is pretty much another version of Superman, Marvel's version of Superman.
He's the Marvel Superman.
Yeah, like he has like light speed and super strength. He can fly in space.
He's blue with a mohawk, though, right?
That's right. He can shoot lasers through his eyes and super breath, and
he's got it all.
Yeah. He shows up and he pretty much just chucks Juggernaut like he was nothing.
Now the only thing with Gladiator is if you can convince him he might lose, he'll lose.
That's right. His power is completely tied to his own self-confidence.
Yes.
If you make him doubt his confidence, if you make him lose his confidence, then his strength wanes.
Yeah, all you gotta do is make him think he might not win.
Yeah.
And he might not win.
Yeah.
It's a pretty, I don't know how I'd feel about that power.
Yeah, I know.
You'd have to just,
It's very emo.
Yeah! I'm just picturing, the 70s Hollywood guy, before he goes to his movie scene, he's got, I'm ready! That's Gladiator before every battle. I'm ready!
Yeah.
Just picturing, Johnny Depp in Blow.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's funny. So, have we gone through all his most known comic lines? You said the Tryon Saga, Fear Itself.
There's also the 8th Day. The 8th Day is where they go over the story of the 8 different gods that we were talking about earlier.
Right.
The 8th Day is a series that actually goes over those 8 different gods and their avatars and whatnot. And
that's actually in an Iron Man comic storyline.
Right.
I think it's Iron Man number 3 or something.
Yeah, it starts there, but then there's an actual series called the 8th Day.
Yes, I believe.
And in there, that's where Juggernaut. It's debatable. No, he's probably.
It's a 4-part series.
Yeah,
it's a 4-part series for the 8th Day, and I'm not sure what happens in that.
Not 100% sure on that. Yeah, I've never read it myself, but I was watching Comics Explained and talking about it, and there are 2 forms of Juggernaut that are widely more powerful than his base form. And that is the Tryon Saga Juggernaut, and then there's 8th Day Juggernaut. Apparently, when in 8th Day Juggernaut, he became supremely powerful as well.
Yeah, on the cover of the comic, the 4th issue, I think everyone's just running, and he's just chasing them.
Yeah.
When does he get the magic powers? When does he learn that he has control over them as well?
Well, I don't think he ever does, really. Other than, the Tryon Saga, when I said he was punching reality.
Okay, and what about when he's fighting Doctor Strange?
So even when he's fighting Doctor Strange, he was just shrugging off Strange's magic attacks. None of that was actually working on him.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That's why Doctor Strange had to invoke Eternity. Eternity had to warp into a different dimension.
Well, I don't know what else to do when you're dealing with someone of that power.
Yeah.
He can't be beat.
Yeah.
You literally just have to keep locking him up and benching him and sidelining him.
Yeah. So, in more recent times, you know how we were talking about how Juggernaut lost his powers, or King Marco lost powers to Juggernaut, it went to Colossus. And then we mentioned how Magique ends up purging Pietro of the Colossus power.
Yep.
So when Pietro lost the power of Juggernaut, the Juggernaut power went back to the Gem of Sidorak back in that cave. Started calling out for a new host again. And at this point, so King Marco has been human for a while. And in this time, he became a member of the Thunderbolts. He rejoined the military, and after the Thunderbolts, he ended up becoming a farmer. And he was going on a path of just a peaceful path. But then when the Juggernaut power went back to the Gem of Sidorak and started calling out for a new avatar, King Marco felt this calling. He knew that what was going on, what was being called upon, and he didn't want a new avatar for Juggernaut to show up, so he was actually on his way to destroy the Gem of Sidorak. But at the same time, Colossus was feeling that calling as well. So him and the X-Men were going to that cave with the same purpose to destroy the Gem of Sidorak.
Okay.
They didn't know they were both there for the same reason, though, so they ended up fighting. But when they found out that they were actually there for the same reason, to destroy the gem,
they quit fighting.
Yeah. But the power ended up going to the Living Monolith.
Who's the Living Monolith?
He's a B villain. He's like this guy who's made out of rock.
Oh, well, yeah, I kind of figured.
Yeah. He's kind of like, I'm pretty sure he's not much different to Tombstone. Like, he's a guy who's made out of rock, who's super strong.
Okay.
But the Living Monolith, I think the Living Monolith has the ability to make himself grow super big. I don't know much about the Living Monolith. I think he's an Iron Man villain.
Ah, that makes sense.
Yeah. But the Living Monolith ended up getting the power of Juggernaut. And how they defeat him is Colossus ends up going to Sidorak and convinces Sidorak that the Living Monolith is not a suitable host for the Juggernaut power, for Sidorak's power. That he'll just end up disappointing Sidorak just like all other hosts have in the past. And the only solution to this is to give somebody the power to be able to kill Sidorak himself. So Sidorak was intrigued by this idea and was going to give this power to Colossus, but he ends up giving it to King Marco instead. King Marco becomes the Juggernaut once again. But now he's even more powerful than he's ever been. So this is a more recent story.
Okay.
And this is the power that now gives Juggernaut he now no longer has the vulnerability to telepathic attacks. And he's physically stronger and faster than he ever was before. And he has no more vulnerabilities.
So in the sense of killing Sidorak,
yeah,
has he tried?
I don't think so. Maybe he has. I don't quite remember that part. Going back to your question on my first story about Juggernaut, I actually do have a really good story about the Juggernaut.
Okay, what is it?
So there is a time where Juggernaut was actually trying to join the X-Men. Mm-hmm. Black Tom Cassidy, who is the cousin of Banshee, him and Juggernaut. We didn't actually mention this at all, but Black Tom Cassidy is best friends with Juggernaut.
Yeah. And
Black Tom Cassidy ends up convincing Juggernaut to join the X-Men as a means to take out the X-Men from the inside. But I think what happened was Black Tom ended up betraying Juggernaut, and then Juggernaut decided to truly join the X-Men. And Juggernaut ended up making friends with this kid mutant. This kid mutant ended up befriending him. They became really close friends. And this kid was helping bring Juggernaut to reform, to be a better person, to be a good guy, to be a hero.
Yeah.
And then one day, this mutant kid ends up going outside, and he hears Juggernaut talking to Black Tom Cassidy, and Black Tom Cassidy is talking about taking out the X-Men. And Juggernaut wasn't going to go along with this, but this kid only heard Black Tom's side of the story, right. So he started freaking out on Juggernaut, thinking Juggernaut was betraying them all, and then Black Tom ended up capturing this kid and killing the kid. So
what's Juggernaut did?
Well, Juggernaut turned on Black Tom.
Yeah.
Now Juggernaut can't kill Black Tom Cassidy.
No,
because Black Tom Cassidy his mutant power is to control plant life, and this power has evolved to the point where he himself is plant. Like he is the trees around you. Like you can't really kill Black Tom because Black Tom is the trees, the foliage, the roots.
He is the life.
That's right.
He is life essence.
That's right. Huh? That's right. So Juggernaut can't really kill Black Tom.
Beat him to a pulp, but didn't do anything.
Yeah, exactly. Because you can't really beat him. Like you destroy a tree, he becomes another tree. So yeah, Black Tom's really powerful.
Yeah, I don't know Black Tom very well.
Yeah,
I've never really heard of him.
Yeah. Yeah, he's not a big figure. He's not a very popular figure. Normally he's only tied to Juggernaut, and now that Juggernaut has become Juggernaut again, they become friends again. They've started doing their villainous things together again.
Okay, because basically after he kills the kid, what does Juggernaut do?
He turned on Black Tom, and then Black Tom ends up defeating like Juggernaut and attacking the X-Men, and something happened, and then they end up getting trapped in Mojoverse.
Mojoverse? What's the Mojoverse?
Mojoverse is a alternate dimension that is ruled by Mojo. Mojo is this...
Jojo?
Close. No, Mojo is this big, fat, sluggish-looking being who... he's really grotesque looking. And in Mojoverse, it's... You know all those movies where people are being pitted against each other for the entertainment of the viewers?
Yeah.
That's Mojoverse. Mojoverse is the entire universe where Mojo he takes people from other realities and puts them in these different dangerous situations, and it's all for the entertainment of Mojo, really. But like, there's other beings watching the events unfold and whatnot, but it's really for Mojo's entertainment.
It's a snuff-filled planet.
Exactly. Exactly. There's certain very popular characters from the X-Men that are actually originated from Mojoverse, like Longshot and I said his name earlier, Longstar, the one with the sword. North Star, I think. But Longshot is from Mojoverse.
Yeah.
And Spiral is from Mojoverse. Spiral is she's a Wolverine villain. She's usually depicted facing off against Wolverine. She's a samurai looking chick, but has like 4 arms, and she has like swords in each arm.
Oh, I think I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, she's from Mojoverse as well.
Okay, so it's like the fight arena from like the Dragon Ball Z other side.
Exactly.
Kind of thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he ended up getting trapped in Mojoverse, and that's where
the story kind of ended for that.
Well, for me, anyways.
Yeah. Trying to think, what was the kid's powers? Who Juggernaut befriended?
I don't quite remember. He wasn't a powerful kid. He was just like a deformed mutant kind of thing.
Okay.
He might have had powers, but I don't quite remember.
Just someone that Juggernaut took a liking to.
Yeah. He was just a sweet kid who believed in the Juggernaut. So when the Juggernaut got his powers back, and this more powerful version of the Juggernaut, he now has a new goal. Because since the Phoenix happened and Cyclops ends up killing Xavier, Juggernaut's rage is now focused on Cyclops, even though Cyclops wasn't there. Because Xavier always believed that Juggernaut can reform. He's the only one who ever, him and this kid are the only one who ever believed in the Juggernaut, that he could be more than what he is. So when he found out that his stepbrother Charles was killed, well, now he's now got a new mission to take out anybody who's responsible for the death of his stepbrother. So it's funny how he does that 360, because when he first started, his goal was to kill Charles. Now he's trying to kill whoever it is responsible for the death of his stepbrother.
It makes sense though, because it's like, well, you stole my one prize.
Yeah. Well, like I said, Charles is the only one who actually believed in Juggernaut. So in a way, Juggernaut started to develop a respect and love for his stepbrother.
And that's fair, yeah, because it was out of his childhood hatred, and as he grows and matures as a man over the 60 plus years that Xavier's been around,
Yeah.
I'm sure at some point he's like, all right, I'll cut you some slack, bro.
Yeah. Yeah. He came to realize that Charles really did care for him.
Yeah, now, we haven't really touched base on the fact that Juggernaut's not a mutant.
That's right.
Purely human. Literally, if he never found that
mystical
gem, he would never be a nobody. Like,
he wouldn't even be that big. Now, when he lost the powers of the Juggernaut, he did retain that gigantic form, the big muscular form.
Did he?
But he didn't retain the strength or anything like that. But he still had like that. Well, the strength of a man that size, that build, but no, that's it.
Nothing extra.
No, exactly. The strength of a world's strongest man.
Pretty good.
Yeah, yeah.
Pretty good still.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like still strong enough to pull like a transport.
That's like saying I'm just Arnold. Like,
Yeah,
you know, like I'm just.
Yeah, or I'm just Mark Henry.
You know, I'm just an Olympian now.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Well, you're still winning.
Yeah, but so yeah, he retained the size, but. If he had never found a gem of Sidorak, he would never have gotten that big, that muscular.
No, he was like basically Xavier's size.
Yeah, well, he was muscular. He was more of a jockish bully. Build, yeah.
Where
a meathead. He was always built like a meathead.
Like a football player rather than a soccer player.
That's right.
Like Xavier is built more like the soccer player, the track star, right?
That's right.
He's the big meathead.
That's right.
So that makes sense. What was the age gap between the two? Do you know which one's older?
What's that?
Do you know which brother's older, Xavier or
I do not.
King Marco? I'm trying to think. Probably Kane. You think? Jealous of the younger brother?
I think Kane would be younger because Xavier's always been portrayed as an older person.
That would make sense. Because even like Kane's always got a full head of hair. It's always like, you know, no discoloring.
That's right.
It's fit.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, he's always had that boyish look to him.
Yeah, now, he's joined a couple different teams. Like, we've seen him in the movies a bunch.
Yeah. He's joined the X-Men. He's joined Excalibur. He's joined the Thunderbolts.
Well, he's been on Magneto's team of
Brotherhood of Mutants.
Yeah.
Evil Mutants. I hate the idea of the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. Who considers themselves evil? Who call themselves... It's just a terrible naming of like comic book convention is what it is.
Well, it's a newspaper tabloid name.
That's right.
This event happens, let's label them.
That's just it. Like, the tabloid would call them the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, but why would they call themselves the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants?
But they do, though, don't they?
They do.
They do. Like,
yeah.
And it's not because they called them at first. It's let's be this. This is a cool club name.
Yeah, what
let's
is
be
Brotherhood
the
of Evil? Yeah. Yeah. But, I mean, like, that's just dumb. But, yes, Juggernaut's been a member of that as well.
Okay.
He's also been a member of the Exiles as well.
I'm not sure who they are.
The Exiles were a group of people that were traveling from different realities, trying to stop aberrations in time and reality kind of thing. Spider-Man of 2099 was a member of that as well.
Okay.
And a good guy version of Sabretooth. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't want a good guy version of Sabretooth. That's no fun. That's no fun.
Yeah. So one thing we haven't talked about though is his portrayals outside of comics, other than the cartoons. Like,
That's what I was getting to next. All the movies we've seen him in.
So he's been in, like, if there's an X-Men cartoon, Juggernaut's featured in it.
Yeah.
I didn't write any of them down because it just summed it up as he was in all of them. Same with video games. Like, I was going through the list of all the different video games Juggernaut showed up. The page is like they're fucking long. I wasn't writing down the video games he's been in.
Yeah, I remember there was one old one for the Game Boy that he wasn't in.
Oh yeah.
But like that's about it.
Yeah, I remember facing the Juggernaut in the old Nintendo game. Was it Nintendo or Super Nintendo? I think it was Super Nintendo. It was Spider-Man and the X-Men. And that one was a very difficult game. You fight Juggernaut in that one too.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then in the movies you have two portrayals. Okay, actually,
he's played by the English footballer,
Vinnie Jones.
Vinnie Jones.
So actually, let me go to that section.
Don't you know who I am? I'm the Juggernaut, bitch.
Such a terrible, cringy line.
So bad.
So he was actually set to appear in the first X-Men movie.
Really?
But that script was scrapped.
I would have liked to have seen him in the first one.
Yeah. And then Vinnie Jones played him in X-Men Last Stand, which he looked okay, but
Vinny's not big enough.
No, he's not. They should have enhanced him more.
They should have let Brock Lesnar play him.
I always want Brock Lesnar to play Venom.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Well, look at how
Eddie.
Look how Eddie Brock is always drawn. When I first saw Brock Lesnar introduced in WWE, I saw him. And I'm like, he's built like Eddie Brock. He's got like no fucking neck. His traps are at the height of his ears.
All right. But that's a perfect Juggernaut.
It's also a pretty good Juggernaut. Right. Although Juggernaut, they've never really drawn him with the gigantic traps. He's always had the big arms and like,
massive fucking guns. Yeah,
yes.
He's got the big shoulders.
Yeah,
big arms.
Yeah, but he didn't have like the big gigantic traps.
No.
But Eddie was always drawn like big gigantic traps.
Yeah, you got a point.
And Brock has like he has no neck. It's all traps.
Yes. Yes. All right, he would make an all right Venom.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why when I first saw him, I didn't know Brock Lesnar's name, and I had a hard time remembering him.
Yeah.
So I called him Brock when he first stormed into WWE.
You know who they could get for the Juggernaut? The Mountain.
Yes.
Now that would be a good Juggernaut.
Yes, he would.
Strap a big helmet on that son of a bitch. He's got arms for days.
Yep. So the Juggernaut was also supposed to appear in Days of Future Past, but they opted to introduce Quicksilver rather than bring in Juggernaut.
Why?
I don't know. And the guy who they were going to play as Juggernaut, he ended up playing Trask instead. Not Peter Dinklage.
I'm like, what?
No. So Peter Dinklage played Trask. The guy who was going to play Juggernaut ended up playing Stryker.
No. Oh, yeah. Really? He was going to play Juggernaut?
Yeah.
Well, I would not have been a fan of that.
No. And then Deadpool 2.
I would not have been a fan of that.
So, and then Juggernaut's best live action portrayal would have been from Deadpool 2. Now, here's some funny facts about that, is that when the movie first came out, the credits showed Juggernaut as himself. So, Juggernaut was played by himself. But then later on, it was revealed that Juggernaut was actually voiced by Ryan Reynolds himself.
Oh, okay.
So, Ryan Reynolds voiced Juggernaut and did the motion capture for Juggernaut. So, Ryan Reynolds played Deadpool and Juggernaut.
No way.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Why the hell wouldn't they just get someone to actually play Juggernaut?
Because Ryan Reynolds wanted to do it.
I guess. All right, if you want to do it, Ryan.
And it's all CGI, so whatever.
You got a point.
And they just digitally enhance his voice to sound deeper.
Yeah. Well, you can play Pikachu. He can play Juggernaut. He can play Deadpool. Like, yeah. I vote Ryan.
Yeah. I've been a fan of him ever since Van Wilder, honestly.
Oh, same, dude. Same. I'm trying to think what he did before that.
As far as I know, nothing. He might have done something, but that was when he became known.
We'll get Kenny to check it. What did he do before Van Wilder?
Yeah.
All right, so he appeared for that big fight scene, though.
Yes.
It was Deadpool and him? Or who was he fighting?
He was fighting Colossus.
Oh, he was fighting Colossus. That's right. Weren't they at like a hospital or something?
They were at the orphanage.
The orphanage.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah.
I gotta rewatch that. I've only ever seen Deadpool. Each of them I think I've only seen once.
Yeah.
Definitely could go for a round 2.
Absolutely. They're both really good.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember 2 being absolutely hilarious.
I still want to see totally sideways tangent, but I still really want to see A Hunt for the Wilder People.
For the who?
Hunt for the Wilder People.
What the hell's that?
It's a movie by Taika Waititi.
Okay.
Taika Waititi is the same guy who directed Thor.
Okay.
Thor Ragnarok.
Okay.
And What We Do in the Shadows.
I haven't seen that one, but I've heard it's really good.
It's really funny. But anyways, in Hunt for the Wilder People, it's starring Sam Neill and the fat kid from Deadpool 2.
Okay.
So, I really want to see that one too.
Okay.
Because I've seen What We Do in the Shadows. That's hilarious. I've seen Thor Ragnarok. That was hilarious. I really want to see Hunt for the Wilder People.
Well, he has a good sense of humor.
Yes, he does.
He has a good sense of humor.
Yes, he does.
He's also directing Thor: Love and Thunder.
Nice.
Ooh.
Nice.
And he's a writer on it too.
And I believe he's got another movie coming out this year, Taika Waititi.
Next Goal Wins.
Is that what it's called?
And what about Ryan? Did he do anything before Van Wilder? We'll find out soon here.
Taika Waititi is his next movie has something to do with Hitler, I think. Yeah.
The Jojo Rabbit is the one that has like.
Is that the one I'm thinking of?
Yeah, it came out last year.
Oh, was it last year? So it's already came out.
Yeah, it's the one where like the goofy Hitler.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Now then I need to see this because I love his humor and to think of him playing Hitler. I think why Taika Waititi plays Hitler maybe like in Thor Ragnarok. Kronk or whatever, the big rock guy.
Oh, he played him?
That Taika Waititi. Yeah.
Ah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That guy had all the best lines.
Yeah.
Ryan Reynolds he was a character in the Sabrina the Teenage Witch TV movie.
No kidding.
TV movie.
Yeah.
Oh,
Still with Melissa Joan Hart though?
What the hell did he do in that?
So.
Oh, you don't believe so? Oh, is it like the 1970s? Oh, it was with Melissa Joan Hart.
Yeah, it was with her.
I don't remember him doing that.
I think it was basically the pilot.
Oh.
As a character.
Oh.
But so go watch our Sabrina episode.
Yeah.
Season 1.
Like season 1, episode 4.
Sub 4.
Yeah. Neat. All right, that's pretty much all I got for Juggernaut.
I think that's all I got on Juggernaut. He's got a lot of other mystical kind of aspects. Like we didn't touch on the fact that Sidorak has been banished to some other dimension, like for thousands of years. We don't know by who or what.
Yeah. Well, I mentioned that at the beginning, but yeah, I don't know much about why.
Well, it was never established, even in comics.
Yeah. Yeah.
It just happened. He's there, and he has this gem, and he found 7 other buddies, and they wanted to do some shit on it.
Yeah, and Sidorak is like Dormammu, Mephisto level power.
He's a demon.
Yeah, demon god. Yeah.
And so super powerful. We might see more of him later again in future comic lines, because when you have some big mega being whose unexplained existence is there, it's just begging to be brought in later.
It's open canvas.
Exactly. So I'll keep my fingers crossed to hear more about Sidorak, more gems, more. What did they call them again when? Avatars.
Yeah, avatars. Yeah.
So I want to maybe look into that saga and see I want to see which one won.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure Juggernaut won.
You think? Yeah. Sidorak came out on top.
Pretty sure.
It only makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because at the end of the story, you have 8-day Juggernaut who ends up being like this uber powerful version of Juggernaut. So I'm assuming he won.
So the 8th day, each day is him taking out a new god or something.
Pretty much. That's what I'm figuring, but I've never read it either.
Like we said, we'll have to look into that.
Yeah.
And Kenny, who do we got going on for next week?
For next week, we're supposed to be doing the Crisis on Infinite Earth.
Have they aired those the last?
I think that one's gonna have to get bumped.
The last episode's supposed to be the 14th, so which is this upcoming week. Do we want to push it and do Hawkman instead?
I think we should push it for probably 3 or 4 weeks just to give everyone a chance. We don't want to do too many spoilers here. We know those are never fun.
Yeah. So then we can do Hawkman next week.
Perfect.
Cool.
Followed by Black Panther.
Cool.
Okay.
In time for the Black Panther 2 movie.
Well, I want it to be before that. So
it is before.
Perfect.
Like, I'm pretty sure Black Panther doesn't come out till like March or April.
Middle of the year.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. So we got Hawkman and Black Panther. So tune in for the next 2 weeks, of course. As always, we'll be flipping back and forth between DC and Marvel as much as we can. And if you guys have anyone else that you want us to kind of showcase or find out more about, do some research, have a whole episode on, let us know.
And we will end up throwing in some other non-Marvel, non-DC stuff in the mix as well.
There'll be some Sin City. There'll be some Dark Horse.
We'll do some Naruto.
Some Naruto. If there's other mangas or animes that you want us to do, we do dabble in quite a few.
Hell, I want to do an episode. To be honest, I want to do an episode on Avatar. I could talk about Avatar for at least an hour easy.
What was the chimp one?
The chimp one?
You said you read a comic.
Oh! Why the Last Man?
Why the Last Man?
Yes, we definitely need to do it at Why the Last Man. Even though they haven't done a movie or show, and I wanted to keep this based off of current media, I think the purpose of this episode, while talking about Wise Man, is to educate
get
people.
media made.
That's right.
On this story.
That's right. Start petitions.
I'm a fan just from what I've heard of Mitch. I know nothing more than what he's told me, and it sounds like an amazing idea for a comic story, a movie, a TV series, if not more.
Yeah.
So we'll tell you more about that later. It's called Why the Last Man.
Yeah.
Give it a check if you want, and you can't wait, It's definitely worth looking into.
Yeah.
Till next time, we'll see you next week. This is Worlds Collide signing off, Season 2, Episode 2 of Juggernaut.
Cheers.
Take care.
Stick around for the replays if you want.
We got reruns from Season 1 coming now.
Cheers.